Collen Mashawana, welcome to Power Weekend Breakfast.
And Machironi Pabi.
It's very good to have you here.
Thank you.
What's a bit of your backstory?
Okay, so I am from a small town called Toyando. It's in Venda, in Limpopo. That's where I grew up. That's where I studied. And both my primary school and high school. And then I moved to Johannesburg. I grew up in a family of 5 with my old man, my mom, and the 3 siblings. Yeah. Unfortunately, my old man has passed on in 2009. My mother is still alive, and she is in Venda. So growing up for me was bit of mixed reaction. So I grew up in a township, like I said, until I was 12. And when I was 12, I moved, because of family dynamics, I moved from the township, which I had more of a, just an ordinary life and standard okay life. Then I moved to a village where extreme rural area, where the living conditions were extremely different to how I knew them. And I guess that's where I was exposed to the type of inhuman conditions that our foundations aim to address today.
And it's very interesting how you talk about being in that village and living in that circumstance is really what created a stirring for you and exposed you, because I think so much of the time, especially living in urban Johannesburg, there is a separation from what people's lived experiences are.
Yeah, it's true. So most of people that live in urban areas, if they have not been exposed to that life, they only experience that from watching it on TV, reading about it in the media. But experiencing it, it's quite different, and the negative or positive impact that does to you as a person can never be explained. So I was fortunate to have experienced both sides of the coin. Yeah. So it built a good character in me. It built a selfless person in me. But I guess also the upbringing contributed a lot, because I was always taught that you have to look out for your neighbor, you have to look out for your friend, you have to look out for strangers. But I think growing up in that village, I was also raised by a lot of people that I didn't know. My mother was a waitress at that point. I think she was earning 400 rand or something like that, which with that money she couldn't take me back to school, especially the school that I was used to earlier on. She couldn't provide as much as she could provide. We stayed in a house that was leaking. We used an outside toilet. We sometimes went on for days without electricity and without water. So a lot of strangers came on to help, a lot of aunties in the villages, a lot of grandmothers came on board to assist me. I would walk around at times from school, not having money money for transport to go back home. I'll go out and back and have a piece of paper like the street kids that you see now, asking for 2 rand, asking for 3 rand, trying to raise that money so I can just get home. So because I was helped by strangers, I live my life every day with so much debt to pay. Sure. And I feel indebted to strangers, Hence, 10 years ago, we started the Collen Mashawana Foundation that every day we live our lives looking for strangers, especially the elderly, child-headed families and those that are living with disability.
Now, I asked that question very deliberately in Tate Mashawana because you're in a position now as a businessman as well, where I'm sure your children are not growing up in those environments. And how do we then, and this is an issue that has come up with many very successful, upwardly mobile, there was a time where, we were called black diamonds, whatever it is, to inculcate that into the next generation, because they're not growing up with many of the same struggles or deficits that we had. How do you manage to do that? Or what advice do you have?
What I would say is that it's quite important for us to expose our children to that type of life. It's important for them to teach them both sides of the coin. It's all good that some now can provide for their children. They can afford to take them to school. They can afford to get them to live, especially with access to basic services.
Yes.
So to our children, it's basic services. And if they wake up in the morning and open a tap and there's no water, they don't understand.
I'm sorry, Collen. If they wake up and there's no Wi-Fi, they don't understand.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah. They want roadblocks. They want all these type of things. And they'll, but the reality is that we have, it's not their fault,
sure,
that they are not exposed to that. I didn't choose to be exposed to that. Conditions forced me to be exposed to that type of life.
Yes.
But I think it's important now for us to expose our children. We need to force them to know the other side of the coin, because they see it. They can't turn a blind eye. When you're driving with them and you stop at the robots, they see a child who's asking for food.
Yeah.
They see it on TV. They see shacks falling apart. They see people giving other people food. So the question is, Daddy, why is the other one giving the other one food? Why can't they go and work? Why can't they work for themselves? So you have to educate that, there is history that got the majority of black people where we are today. There are people who've got no access to houses. There are people with no access to water, electricity, and sanitation. And it's important for you to pray. It's important for you to express gratitude when you've got access to all of these things. And when you have extra, or the little that you have, it's important for you to share. So my children, I take them with. They're involved in the foundation at an early age. My son, who's now 10, at 7 or 6, I was already going with him and I was teaching him. Some days I would drive with him and in the car he would just cry. And I say, I said, Prince, why are you crying? He says, that situation is so bad. What's so bad? The person at the robots, they've got no food. They're asking for food. So we've got extra clothes. We've got extra toys. We've got extra. Let's go and share.
And an issue that often is coming up and emerging in modern society is this lack of empathy that the children aren't able to develop. And so that's such a beautiful way to bridge that gap. So one of the primary goals of your foundation is to alleviate youth unemployment. Let's talk about one of those ways that maybe the power people can tap into the Collen Mashawana Foundation and assist.
So the employment issue, I think that was the initial goal of the foundation. We still address the issue of employment, but we further realized that you can't separate it from a decent home,
right?
Because before someone is mentally and psychologically equipped and trained to go into the work environment, they need to have access to basic things. Their mindset needs to be, for you to wake up and go for an interview, you need to have taken a bath.
Yes.
You need to have, at least at night, researched a bit. So how do you research a bit, and how do you take a bath if the house is flooded? And if you have no electricity and you have no water. So we have then incorporated the youth unemployment, but we're focused on the basic services. So we're focused on the disabled people. We're focused on child-headed families and those that are living with disabilities. So we run a number of programs that assist these three groups. And in that journey of assisting the three groups, unemployment becomes what we address on the way. So we then say, okay, how do we make this intervention sustainable? So you build them a home. You have given them water, electricity. You've ensured that social development intervenes with grants and so on. But how do we ensure that this family does not rely on just receiving? How do they create their own wealth or their own revenue going forward? And that's where we employ either the young people within that household to ensure that there's sustainability.
That's amazing. So I know that you also have tried to deal with this staggering 2.1 million backlog in housing in South Africa, and is it called One Brick at a Time? That was the project. Tell us more about that.
I'm sure you can see a smile when you talk about that. Because it excites me. I think it's something that's very close to my heart. So in my other life, as an entrepreneur, I'm involved in a business called AfriBiz Invest. It's an international infrastructure investment company, and we are involved in everything that is related to infrastructure. So which means we build houses, we build roads, we build anything in relation to building, we do, right? So in doing what we then do, I come across so many people that have a big headache of not having a home. And, beside wanting to make profit, the question was, how would the foundation then address and ensure that we provide homes, especially for elderly people? We also wanted to demonstrate that giving does not require one to have a big pocket. It requires one to have a big heart. So in demonstrating that, we then said the foundation must open up and allow everyone who wants to be part of the foundation, who want to contribute in the foundation, and it doesn't have to be monetary. You might want to contribute with a door frame, with a window, with bricks, with cement. So we concluded that we can build communities one brick at a time. We opened up the campaign, which we started we started the campaign a year ago. The housing initiative we started almost 3 years ago. We have so far built 260 houses for those three groups. And then we further said we want to build 100 houses through community development, which means community members must build them themselves. They must be the ones to contribute in building these homes.
So empowerment in the communities themselves.
In the community themselves, but also in you looking after your own neighbor.
Oh, absolutely.
So we said, you can contribute by just buying a brick,
right.
And the brick is just a symbol of your commitment to helping other people. So One Brick at a Time now is 10 months old. The target is 100 houses. We have so far built 68 houses. April, May will be the deadline for me to confirm that we have built 100 houses. So we continue to look for the grannies, for the Nkulus, for the children with no parents, for the disabled people or those living with disabilities who don't have homes. It's flooding now, it's raining every day, shacks are falling apart. We are looking for those people so we can reach our target. And it's not Collen Mashawana who's building the homes. It's community development. It's different people that are doing it through the One Brick at a Time.
So then how can we get involved? What are some of your immediate needs?
So we are looking for bricks, like I said. We are looking for building material. We're looking for cement. We're looking whatever that you are able to contribute with will be highly appreciated, whether it's roof sheets, So you can log into our website, www.collenmashawana.com. Our contact details are there. And whatever pledges you can make, that will be highly welcomed. But also use the opportunity to inform us if you are aware of any elderly person, 90-year-old, 100-year-old, who has lost hope in owning a home. With the little resources that we are able to gather amongst ourselves, we will visit them, and within 3-4 weeks of seeing them, we will give them a home.
What areas are you focusing on, or is this across the country?
It's across the country. So the Collen Mashawana Foundation has ambassadors in all 9 provinces, and we are running programs in all different provinces.
So give us that website again so that we can get in touch.
So it's www.collen, Collen, Mashawana.com.
Brilliant. Collen Mashawana, thank you very much for coming and sharing your story. This is one brick at a time, the project hoping to build as many homes as possible across South Africa, with this immediate goal to build the 100 homes for the homeless. But no doubt it will continue to grow and grow across the country. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much. So we celebrate 10 years this year.
Wow.
In April. So wish us well. Wish us more strength to continue doing what we do. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I always talk about how if there is time of crisis, if there is a hopeless time, we need to look out for the helpers. Look out for the people who have taken it upon themselves to do something and to lend a helping hand, because therein lies humanity. And that's why we have this segment on the show about the community and ways that each one can reach one, and you're doing exactly that. Collen Mashawana, thank you very much.
Thank you, sis.